Well, welcome back to the Resolve Podcast. We're talking through biblical truths that help us become resolved to live well. And we're going to be finishing up this curriculum that my friend Pete has put together of finishing well. And it's called 6 weeks to finishing well because you were told to put it into a 6-week class format.
Exactly.
But you don't have to do this within 6 weeks. You could definitely do it within 3 days, and that would be great. No, I'm kidding. It's going to take a little longer than 3 days. But my encouragement is I hope that it's been beneficial as you've watched through the first and second sessions that we've talked through. And if you haven't watched those, it's really important that you go back because we're building on top of all of these things. And then as you do, don't forget to ask Pete for this document that you can walk along with step by step and then take that and put it into practice. So his email is going to be at the bottom of the screen right here. I'll also leave it in the description. Reach out to him. He has also these really well printed physical books as well as the digital living document that has fill in the blank, quite literally just fill in the blank options on there that make things so easy. So Pete, this has been such a labor of love, and again, he is offering this to all of us for no cost, just his sweat equity that he's graciously giving. So thank you, Pete. I appreciate that.
You're so welcome.
As we were talking through kind of in between recording these episodes, we mentioned that we forgot one thing in section 5 that's important enough to go back and talk through. So Pete, you want to talk about the partnership agreements, right?
I do, and certainly a partnership in a business or a building or an investment, it's important to have those documents. But sometimes we don't think about simpler partnerships. You and your brother may still have baseball cards from when you were growing up that one of you has possession of. You know, how is there a partnership agreement on that? And it doesn't have to be done by an attorney. It doesn't have to be notarized. It just has to be something that your family understands. My grandfather fought in World War I, and when you finished your service after World War I, you were given your service revolver and the leather sheath that holds it.
Wow.
I have possession of that gun. My brother and I have decided that the last to die gets that gun. So if I don't survive my brother, Lori knows that she has to give that to my brother Dave. So again, you know, they're not necessarily having to be legal agreements, but there's something that your family needs to know about. And it will dovetail very well into the bequeaths that's in the very last section of the book that I put together.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking with the family a couple weeks ago, and the mom of the family, I was talking about the dad and his daughter. And the mom of the family, they had a will, but the will had sticky notes all over the top of it that said, sticky notes, overwrite will.
Right.
Just had them all over the place. But,
Right.
They, as a family, chose to abide by what were on the sticky notes on top of the will. So sometimes, I don't know the legality of that, but
and I think that goes right back to, just to kind of update us, and as you've been following along, the why is this so important? And one of those huge pieces of it is you want to take the strife away from that bereavement moment and what the family and the loved ones are going to have to work through. And so any of those things you can get decided and really communicated well just takes all of that stress and all of that, because as we've talked about even back in the first podcast episode on this, that you're not thinking clearly. You're grieving, you're hurting in those moments, and sometimes that leads to hyper emotionalism, and the more that's clear, the better it is for your family. And let me say one other thing real quick, because I know, Pete, you've said this in front of every session, and I think it's really helpful. None of the three of us are lawyers or financial experts, so we're walking through this and talking about those kinds of things, but don't take this as any sort of legal or binding advice or anything like that disclaimer. Yes. So,
yeah. One final thing I'd love to add is, regardless of your age, so we're sitting at this table, three of us in three different generations. regardless of your age, this is incredibly important to have in place. Whether you're boomer, Gen X, or millennial, there are incredibly important aspects for each one of us to have in place for our families, because we don't know what tomorrow looks like.
Yeah.
So
It's good.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So, okay, let's dive into section 6: monthly bills, maintenance, and services for your home, and credit card numbers.
Yeah. So, again, different families have different responsibilities for everybody within the family. In my family, I'm responsible for the monthly bills, and I have included some samples that show what typical monthly bills are. And one of those is that if our average water bill is $250 and I'm gone and Lori gets a bill for $1,000, something is leaking somewhere.
Yeah.
And causing a problem. But another example would be if you have a pool service and they charge you $145 a month, and a spouse passes away and they say, oh yeah, it's $300 a month. I want my family to know what they should expect. In that same section, there is a fill in the blank for your own monthly bills, so you can easily include the bills that you have and take care of. There's also maintenance and services for your home or your apartment. Who the apartment manager is and how to get a hold of him. If the garage door won't go up, who the garage door company is, because I don't fix garage doors in our home. Logan, you probably do, but because you fix most everything in your home. But
glutton for punishment.
But from any service that we use, if we have an electrical problem, if there is a problem with the internet, any service provider that we use, I've included in there, and I've also included a blank form where you can fill in whoever provides services for you. And again, that's why the digital fill in the blank version is great, because we change services, right?
Yeah, I love on here you've noted like some of these, like this guy's better to text than to call.
Right.
And just even those simple notes are so helpful.
Right.
To know.
And on page 39 of the digital, it goes through all of the ones that I could think of. Now, please don't think that I have all of these services for my home, but these are just the ones I could think of. And if they're like landlord, if you don't have a landlord, you want to replace that with something else that you have that's not on this list, it's definitely there for you. But so often we'll only use a service like as needs be. And if something happens and we need a service, chances are Lori isn't going to know who did that. This is going to allow her to know, oh, this is at least the last guy who did it. And that's why updating this regularly is so important.
Right.
Yeah. But it's all right there. I've included not only the type of service, the company name, the phone number, the account number, and the average cost.
Right. And the frequency too.
Right.
I've seen.
Right.
And one thing you may want to think about this too, and I think about the different generations, is now there's so much in terms of streaming services that it's funny to me because I keep up with all of it, I think, pretty well, but there, especially I think, and not to pick on generations, but millennial and younger, that sometimes you sign up for so many streaming things you don't even know what you have.
Yeah.
Right? And so you have apps that manage that, and so those things will come into that as well. As it's not just, it used to be so simple. You had this supervised TV, this supervised internet, and now you've got so many different things. So just adding.
I'm ashamed I let one free trial of Audible go through. So it was $12, and I said, dag nabbit.
There you go.
Never happen
There you go.
again.
Never again.
No,
So-
but they do. They intentionally make it so easy
Oh, yeah.
for us to get hooked in, and then it just becomes part of the regular, charge to our credit card,
Yeah.
and it gets very dangerous, very expensive. Now, I understand there are programs that will go through and see what services
Yeah.
you're not using.
So even now, so we use Chase as our credit card and banking, and on Chase's app, they do spending breakdowns, and by category, you can go in there and see where your trends are. And one of those is streaming services, and it will list all those transactions out. So those services that are out there are great, but also don't neglect to just look at your own bank and see maybe they have the same thing in there. So,
Right. Well, and you bring up banks,
Mm-hmm.
and that's another. We talked about banking and having both spouses and perhaps pay transfer upon death to somebody else, which is great. But every bank has a limit that they're insured up to, and it seems like a whole lot of money. But that being said, you want to keep an eye on that. You also, my suggestion is that you have more than one banking relationship. Even if you've got just a little money in each one of them. I think about 6 months ago, my bank of 20 years that I had all my banking with sent me a note and said they no longer wanted me as a customer. And
Whoa.
it took a month transferring everything to new banks and so again, Pete, in the white spaces, more than one bank is a good idea. I'll never have only one bank again, but that's me.
Yeah.
that's what you get for loyalty.
I know.
Wow.
We decided to follow Dave Ramsey and try to pay everything in cash, which meant I was taking cash out of the bank to pay every bill, and the bank didn't like that. I don't know. Go figure.
There you go.
I still haven't figured out why, but nobody would tell me. But so Section 7 is copy of important statements: bank, retirement, investment, 529C college plans, etc. And you're going to need these to be able to put together the asset, the debt. But now I have the suggestion that every financial piece of paper is in one place in my book. And it again, they're going to need that within 180 days of your passing for the date that you passed. And to have all of those all in one place is really a good idea.
Now, you mentioned on some of this that you would have only the cover letter of those.
Right.
And do you do that? My question was, do you have just the cover letter so that people know what they're looking for and then go into where your safer documents are stored?
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
So would you do the same thing with the important statements, bank, retirement, investments, all that, just the cover letter?
Right.
And say, when you go in here, this is where you look for it.
Right.
Okay.
And earlier in the book, important document storage is listed where they are.
Right.
So this just tells them, oh yeah, we've got, this 529C, and here's the documentation here. This is where it's stored for us.
We keep all ours under the mattress.
There you go.
I think that's not the mattress. I'm ignoring that comment, but I do think the fact that you, even if it's just printing off, here's the account number and the URL, just because keeping track of all of that, you have a tangible piece of paper that says here's where this account's located, and because it's easy just in your flow of life, if you're the guy who does the books and the management of, okay, I know I've got this 529 over here, we have this savings account over on this, and just making sure it's all there so people know about it and how to access it. Yeah.
And I'm going to have you splice in this back to the wills.
Okay.
And that is that wills should be reviewed every 5 years. Because things change and the laws change. The state of Texas has made 2 major changes in what they expect from a will in just the last 10 years. It's critical that they get reviewed regularly, again, every 5 years.
And the way I understand it, again, none of us are legal professionals,
Right.
or even try to claim to be, but the newest copy of that will is the one that you abide by. Even if you kept old copies of those previous wills, the newest one that has been notarized or whatever is the one that the state will abide by.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. And if you've moved to a different state, you probably have to have your will reviewed for the state that you're in. The will that I had in California is really meaningless in the state of Texas. You mentioned a relative that passed away in Oklahoma. Oklahoma and Texas, although we do so many things alike, the laws are totally different.
Yeah.
So if you've moved to a different state, you probably want to update a will to include the rules of the state that you're living in.
But why would we ever leave Texas?
Well, nobody does, right?
It's the mission field outside of Texas.
Yeah.
So it's
Exactly right.
Texas and the other states.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that all Section 7 there?
Yes.
Okay. Section 8 then.
Section 8 are things that I handle in my house that nobody else knows how to do. And we all have those things, and this is absolutely appropriate for both spouses, because we will divide to conquer. It would be silly for me to know where the supplements are purchased, but it's a good idea for me to know where they're purchased.
Yeah.
So it's very important that things that only you know how to do in your house, that you at least document it.
Yeah, Lord forbid something happens to Brooke, but if it does, I'm just going to hit reorder on the groceries for the next year. Like whatever I ordered last week, do that again. Yeah.
So, Section 8, I listed basic issues and services that home and autos may require and what to do. And, we have a septic tank. What happens there? The pool, the garage door, the house alarm and cameras. If you have a water leak, I've even included a picture of where our water meter is and what tool to use to turn it off.
And you have pictures of all of it, which is beautiful.
Yeah, and the same thing for a gas leak. That's on page 43. If you need to turn the electricity off to the house, our automatic sprinklers. These are things that normally when I'm doing business in California, one of these things goes wrong and nobody knows how to take care of it. Now, some of these have changed, like router, internet goes down, the girls know how to take care of those because they're so critical to them.
But don't you just go to the coffee shop? If the internet goes down at the house, isn't that what?
Not all of us, Josh.
Exactly right.
Gotcha.
But I've included, I've got a shed where I keep some gardening equipment in. I've included the combination to the shed in there. And I've included, if we get a freeze like we did in 2021, there are certain precautions that have to be followed if you're not going to have a bursting pipe. So I've just included things. Everybody's different. And then I included some basic stuff about the cars, the Texas tags. I've included the fact that every time I go in for an oil change, they say, well, you need a new cabin filter, a lube job. We're going to fill your tires with nitrate, and the $70 oil change is $200.
Yeah.
And I've even given Lori the suggestion as to what she tells the attendant at the oil change to make that not a $200 deal. But these are just things that I came up with, and
I think
every household is different.
Yeah.
But what a great gift to be able to give your family, to be able to say, yes, something's going to break, something's going to go wrong, but this is how I suggest that you address it.
That's good.
Especially like the water leak. Logan, you experienced that.
Man, I have some trauma there. Yeah.
Yeah, but you wake up at 2:00 in the morning and there's 2 inches of water in the kitchen, and what do? You got to turn off the water to the house. Well,
Weep bitterly.
So, and start fighting with the insurance company right then,
Yeah.
right? But
Call a lawyer.
yeah, so there's
That's good.
So there's just basic household things to do and to take care of. The next section number 9, is possible future events and planning. I am married to an incredibly generous woman, and a personal issue of mine is that I fear that Lori, given the fact that she isn't involved in the finances, she may see that we've got a few dollars in the bank and want to give half of it away, which I love her
Yeah.
for. That's one of the reasons I married her. And I think our wives are all the same way. But I put together a listing of what I feel are future financial events so that she can fully grasp what the future expenses might be. She might give away half of our money today and realize, oh my goodness, we still have 3 years left on tuition for the girls, or weddings. I mean, we all three of us are going to be faced with that someday, right? And
It's a little longer for you, Logan. Don't
a
worry.
little longer, yeah.
We're
But
going into a crisis right now.
yeah, but so I just did that in my book.
Yeah.
You might find value in it, you might not, but I've included stuff like, well, when I die, I have a small life insurance policy that's going to give you some money, so that's good.
Yeah.
When the girls go to college, we may sell the house and we might make a few dollars. I put in an estimate there, but there's still college to finish. There's still a wedding or weddings, hopefully a double wedding.
Yeah.
It's every night I sneak into the bedroom and I whisper to the girls, elope or double wedding.
There you go.
Same
There you go.
day.
Those are
That's
my
great.
but also, Lori's going to have to probably have 30 years of life without me, and that's got a plan for that. So I put that in mind in section number 9.
Can I ask you a question, Pete? Because it sounds like a lot of these things require multiple conversations.
Yes.
So how have you navigated, like, obviously you don't want to just sit here and go, okay, 2 weeks straight, we're going to just talk about what happens when I die, because I think it would be a little bit concerning for families. So are these things you've just had as you've gone to the next thing, maybe a month later, you're like, hey, let's have this conversation now? And
That's exactly right. I tried to feed Lori with the fire hose. All right, we have 2 days. The girls aren't here. We're going to go through every page in this book, and so exactly right. As I update a section now, I just go through it, and now it's not just with Lori, but I'm bringing the girls into it. And my oldest son, who is older than you, he's involved in that discussion as well. Hey, I've updated this. I wanted you to see it because it could be that this rests on him at some point in time.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's really
that
good.
is good. Section 10 is special gifts and bequeaths, and these are not things that are in my will. They are just special things. Logan, you don't know it, but you're included in this section.
Hey, I made it.
And Josh, you are as well.
Wow.
Because I know that you have a passion for golf.
Yeah.
I know that you're not very good at it.
That's 100% accurate.
And you get first dibs of any golf equipment that that is mine.
Is
in
the
my
skill
garage.
transferable? Because I'd love to take some of the.
There you go. I don't know.
Yeah.
You figure that out. But you're included there. Josh, I have to tell you that your workbench is sorely lacking. And I have left you my workbench, which is customized with
Wow.
everything that you need.
That's awesome.
But it's like tools. My youngest son is getting into woodworking, so he gets first dibs. I build sets for children's theater. Any tools that they want, so those are special gifts
Yeah.
and bequests
Yeah.
that aren't in my will.
That's awesome.
I've got a buddy of mine gave me a really nice Neiman, whoever the artist, a print of Augusta, and who that goes to.
That's awesome.
I have a drawer full of $39 watches, which are worthless, but I've got 3 fairly nice watches. And don't get me wrong, they're $500 to $1,000 watches, which is way extravagant. But I've got 3 of them, and I've detailed my middle son, who is Mr. Fashion and Style. He gets first choice, and then where the other 2 go. So again, it's not stuff that's in my will or trust, but it's just special bequests. Now,
even a turkey platter.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Courtney is the chef in the house,
There you go.
and I've got my grandmother's turkey platter, and Courtney, if she wants it, she gets it.
That's awesome.
But this is really important too, and that is that I'm in the process of sitting down with my sons with a potential list of anything that they would want, and saying, okay, let's divide it now. Let me put your name on it now, so that it doesn't come to a point in time when I'm gone, Lori doesn't want the stuff, who gets it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, I've seen siblings fight
Yeah.
over material things, lose relationship
Yeah.
for stuff.
For not,
Yeah.
And if you're proactive on it, you can avoid that.
Yeah. And I would say too, the posture you have with it of there are certain things I want this person to have, that
Right.
makes that so much more meaningful than
Yeah.
just I want to keep this.
Right.
But no, Pete wanted me, or Dad wanted me, or Grandpa, or whatever the situation wanted me to have this, and it
Right.
really adds that special thoughtfulness to
Yeah,
that
it does.
process too. So that's really powerful.
Yeah, it's a gift I thought of for you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you're keeping all this on a document, or just literally just written here on?
It's in this document.
It's just right there. in the
But
document.
it's also reviewed with anybody. This is the first you heard of the golf
Right,
equipment.
yeah.
This is the first you've heard of a good workbench.
Yeah.
That being said, my kids know about, and Lori knows about it as well.
Right.
So it's not going to be a surprise to her. Who's going to get.
Yeah, the TV dramatized. Everybody sitting in a room reading the will.
Yeah.
And to this child.
Yeah, 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 and they know about it in advance. And when you divide stuff, you can't be absolutely fair financially. So I've included what I think something is worth, and this child gets it, this guy gets a little less, and I've included Courtney and Kendall in that too, because as strange as it sounds, they may want some stuff from Dad's.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I just think that's kind of the final act. The other gift is that I am in the process of writing everyone who has been significant in my life a letter,
Wow.
just as my final, thank you. And of course, Lori's first, hers is done, the girls, then my boys, and then other people who've influenced my life.
Yeah.
Again, that just, and they're in the book. They're in the front of the book and addressed to the people who will receive them. But it's just a final thank you.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow.
Well, that's it. That's all 10 sections. Can I borrow this? Just my hands on this real quick. Just want people to see this. So this book is printed well, but there's holes in there. And the whole point of the being hole punched is that you can turn this material with the different section heads and all those different things. You turn this not as just this document. Here, you can have that back. But you convert that into this. And so each one of these section heads become basically a divider in this 3-ring binder for all of those living documents to come through. So that's a big work, but it is so worth it, and it's so meaningful.
Well, thank you. And I believe that this fall we're going to do a 6-week class here at church again.
Great.
If you're a self-motivator, if you can take this on yourself, you're not going to get anything out of the class that you don't. Very little out of the class that you will accomplish if you do it on your own. The problem is most of us aren't.
Yeah.
And in a class environment where we will go through sections of this and then discuss it as a group and get more ideas, it adds to it. Again, that'll be this fall. It'll be 6 weeks. Anyone's invited. I think that whether or not you're a member of Parkway Hills, you want to attend it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We'd love to open it up to anybody. The resources and materials will all be provided, no charge. But I'm going to end where I began, and that is that I think this is the greatest gift I have ever created for my family. And I think that anyone who will undertake this work, this will be their final gift and possibly their best gift.
Yeah. And we've seen that
Absolutely.
in action. And so thank you for your ministry. We have seen it change the trajectory for families in awesome ways. So thank you for being dedicated to this.
Yep. And I would say thank you for your heart. And if you know Pete, you know your heart. That is not only to do this for your family, but to, as you've now equipped others to do this well, that you are giving a gift that others get to give. And as Logan mentioned, and we mentioned this in the first podcast, we've already seen this work in families in such a way that it gives such peace and such just comfort to know that they're honoring the wishes of their loved one, and they don't have to think through all those details in that hardest of moments. And it really is an amazing gift and an opportunity for all of us to think about our days, which lines up with the scripture, that we would consider those things and consider them well as stewards of all that God's given us. So thank you so much, Pete.
You're so welcome.
Pete, thank you for being here, sir.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you guys, and thank you for this.
Yeah.
And can I say one more thing?
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
I would just say, again, as we've walked through this in the last sessions of the podcast, hopefully you've listened to all of them, as it has brought up tender things in your life, don't hesitate to reach out to work through and talk through those things together. Inevitably, when we start thinking about this, there's just things that go on in our hearts and our minds this is why the body of Christ comes together in all of this. And you may say, I don't have resources. I don't know where to turn, or I don't have the money to do some things that I feel like I need to do. Well, don't hold that to yourself. Let the body come around you, and let's as a church figure things out so that all of us are walking in this journey together.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. And again, we love to leave you with action steps with this podcast. We don't want it just to be something you consume and walk away from. I don't need to tell you what the action steps are for these. Get the book, start working the plan, and just take it one step at a time and create something that's going to be such a peace in your own heart, in your own mind, but also such a gift to your family. So thank you, Pete. Thank you, Josh, for being here.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys on the next episode of the Resolve podcast.
That's a wrap.
That's it, man.
There it is.
Woo!
Thank you for joining us on this journey. Our deepest desire is that you would know Jesus and walk with him daily. If you want to know more about what that might look like, you can text PH Life to 77411. If you'd like to know more about Parkway Hills, visit our website at parkwayhills.org. We'll see you next time on the Resolved podcast.